Shalom to the elect of Israel, to the whole elect of Israel, you Hebrew Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Gotta give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, the Most High, the Heavenly Father. His Hebrew name is Yahweh, not Yahweh, not Jehovah, not God, not Elohim, not Most High, not Lord, not Yah, not Jah, not Ahia, not Allah. It's Yahweh. And his only begotten son name in the Hebrew is Yahweh Shah. Not Yahshua, not Yeshua, not Jesus Christos, not Jesus Christ, not Serapis Christos, not Yeshua, not Yehoshua. It's Yahweh Shah. So we gotta give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether they can accept it or not. And a sincere salutation to all the occupants pushing this truth and believing this truth toward the four winds of the earth, the entire world, waking up the hope for the elect. And shalom to the Awwath who are listening and learning, the few sisters who are listening and learning. I'm Messiah coming at you another lesson in truth, facts, faith, and edification. Another daily edification, Lord willing, this be edifying. So I titled this lesson, Truth Hurt, but it's still the truth. This lesson is for educational purposes only. It's not for monetary gain. I do not own the copyright to this video. This is for educational purposes only. Lord's willing, it be edifying. Now this is a video, a short clip that the brother from my camp, that the head brother from my camp, Gio Messolano, put up on his channel. And I said I was going to do a lesson on it. If they take it down, they take it down. But Lord, wouldn't it be edifying? So let me turn this volume down. Lord, would it be edifying, man? Because, hey, as I was going to title it, they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. Then this video is titled, Former Marine Speaks on E's Atrocities. That's the title that the brother put. The former Marine speaks on the wickedness of the Job 9 and 24s. So check this out.
I'm going to jump in this tomorrow. And I'm telling you, folks, right there, how white folks got so rich. The untold story of American white supremacy. I mean, I just read about the Indian land grab. And I'm like, my gosh, man, good Lord. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth. Because that means we've got to look people in the face and say our forefathers were the worst people in the history of mankind. The things that they did, that manifest destiny, that kind of mentality has been atrocious. What we have done to the African Americans. The estimated number of wealth that came from slavery, from free labor. And that's what it was. And they estimate that the amount of money that came from slavery was around $24 trillion. You can't even grasp that much money. The average person has a hard time grasping what $1 billion is. $1 trillion. Holy shit. And a lot of people don't want to admit the truth because a lot of people also are scared that what happens if we actually do have to maybe pay reparations. Understand that everything, that beautiful Capitol in Washington, D.C., was built by slave labor. The majority of the churches in this country were built by slave labor. Our forefathers were lazy. And if they were smart, which they were, but the problem was they were cunning and sad.
Now, you see that? Now, he said our forefathers, they were cunning. Now, when you go to Ephesians 6, right? It tell you about the wiles of the devil. Let's read this real quick. Hey, cause just this 2 minute and 43-second video, it's a lot of fire in here, man. So let's make this point. This is Ephesians 6, but he said our forefathers were cunning. This is Ephesians chapter 6 in verse 11. It say, put on the whole armor of power that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So let's look up this word wiles. This word wiles, G3180. Let's play it. Don't want to have right. Okay.
Strong's G3180. Methodiah.
Now what did he say? Our forefathers were cunning. It say cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. Cunning arts, deceit, craft, trickery. You see? So he said our forefathers, man. And this is, let's get this. This is Psalms chapter 68 in verse 7. It reads, O power, Salakia. Psalm 68 in verse, no, I'm sorry, not Psalm 68. Psalm 64 and 7, it reads, but power shall shoot at them with an arrow, suddenly shall they be wounded, so they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves, all that see them shall flee away. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. So what he said is their forefathers. So let's run this back again, and we're gonna get some more precepts.
I'm going to jump in this tomorrow, and I'm telling you folks right there how white folks got so rich. The untold story of American white supremacy. I mean, I just read about the Indian land grab, and I'm like,
now, hold on, you got to run that back because he said got to make a point.
Gosh, man, I'm going to jump.
He said how they got so rich, right? This is James chapter 5 and 1. It reads, go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them have reached, and the cries of them which have reaped are enter into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth, and been wanton, Ye have nourished your hearts as in the days of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just, and he do not resist you. So the laborers that had reaped down your fields, man, which you kept back by fraud, what? The pay, man. You have gotten free labor. This is Zechariah chapter 11 in verse 5. It reads, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So it say, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. You see? And that's what these devils did, man. This is Exodus. This is Exodus 21 and 16. It reads, and he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hands, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So what is this? This is the rape, rob, murder, pillage, and plunder that happened to the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians by the Job 9 and 24s. So let's run this back again.
I'm going to jump in this tomorrow. And I'm telling you, folks, right there, how white folks got so rich. The untold story of American white supremacy. I mean, I just read about the Indian land grab. And I'm like, my gosh, man, good Lord. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth.
And he said the Indian land grab, right? When you go to Psalms chapter 55, it reads this. This is Psalms 55 and 20. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him, which when the conquistadors and Spaniards came over here, right? They made a peace agreement with the Native American Indians, right? With the tribes of Gad and Reuben, and the tribes of Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. He hath put forth his hand against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords. You see, and Christopher Columbus said, Cristobal Colon, which is his real name, he said that he couldn't put down his sword for not even an hour, man. Okay?
No wonder we don't want to teach the truth, because that means we've got to look people in the face and say our forefathers were the worst people in the history of mankind.
Now let's read this. He said, what? Our forefathers were the worst people in the history of mankind. This is Ecclesiastes 41 and verse 7. It reads, the children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. You see? Let's get this. This is Isaiah 14 and 21. It reads, prepare slaughter for his children for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, said the Lord Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, said the Lord Yahweh. So they got to pay for these things, man. This is Job 24 and 13. This is the portion of a wicked man with power, with God, and the heritage of oppressors, which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. Though he heap up silver as a dust, and prepare raiment as a cloud, though he heap up silver as a dust, and prepare raiment as a clay, He may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. So let's get this. This is Job 21 in 19. This is Job 21:19. It's a God layeth up his iniquity for his children. He rewardeth him, and he shall know it. His eyes shall see his destruction, and he shall drink of the wrath of the Almighty. For what pleasure hath he in the house after him, when the number of his months is cut off in the midst?
The things that they did, that manifest destiny, that kind of mentality has been atrocious. What we have done to the African Americans. The estimated number of wealth that came from slavery, from free labor. And that's what it was. And they estimate that the amount of money that came from slavery was around $24 trillion. You can't even grasp that much money. The average person has a hard time grasping what $1 billion is. $1 trillion. Holy shit. And a lot of people don't want to admit the truth, because a lot of people also are scared that what happens if we actually do have to maybe pay reparations. Understand that everything, that beautiful Capitol in Washington, D.C. was built by slave labor. The majority of the churches in this country were built by slave labor. Our forefathers were lazy. And if they were smart, which they were, but the problem was they were cunning and sad.
They were cunning, which is the first precept that I read in Ephesians, man. In Ephesians, man. So you see, they gotta pay, man. This is Genesis chapter 9 and 4. Whoso sheddeth man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed. For in the image of God made he man. This is Numbers 35 and 33. It reads, so ye shall not pollute the land wherein ye are, for blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. And who shed the blood of the so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians? Who shed the blood of the Native American Indians, the conquistadors, and the Spaniards, man? Who shed the blood of the so-called Mexicans, the Iscarites? The Job 9 and 24s, man. This is precept to Numbers 35 and 33, which is Habakkuk 2 and 13. It reads, Habakkuk 2 and 12, Salakia. It say, woe to him that buildeth a town with blood and established a city by iniquity. How was Babylon the Great North America built? By the blood, sweat, and tears of the backs of so-called Negro, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. That's how it was built. Thus saith the Bible, man. Thus saith history. Go to Google and look it up, man. The atrocities. And this guy, what his name is, Andrew Jackson. What did they call him, man? The Indian killer, man. Why? You had the Trail of Tears. This devil made these Indians, these so-called Native American Indians walk for miles in the snow, man. The conquistadors and Spaniards ripped open their children, ripped open their women with child, man. That's history. Go look it up, man. And it's also in the scriptures. And I'm going to read it to you right here. This is 2 Kings chapter 8 and verse 12. It reads, and Hazael said, why weepeth my Lord? This is when Elisha. Let me read 10. The second King 8 and 10. And Elisha said unto him, go, say unto him, thou mayest certainly recover. Howbeit the Lord hath showed me that he shall surely die. And he settled his countenance steadfastly until he was ashamed, and the man of God wept. And Hazael said, why weepeth my Lord? And he answered, because I know the evil that thou wilt do unto the children of Israel. Their strongholds wilt thou set on fire, and their young men wilt thou slay with the sword, which today the sword is the modern day guns, and will dash their children and rip up their women with child. And did not the conquistadors and Spaniards do this? They cut open the women that was pregnant and took the babies out of them, and they bashed their heads against the stone. They bashed the baby heads against the stones, man. And you can look it up in history on Google. They used to take 13 of the North American Indians and the so-called Mexicans and hang them up 13 at a time by their arms, not by their necks. And they used to hang them up and burn them 13 at a time. They used to put a fire underneath of them, man, and set them on fire. And they used to burn 13 at a time because that was a number for the Messiah and the 12 disciples. The number 13, which is they use today in witchcraft, man. The number 13 they use. Go look it up, man. The conquistadors and the Spaniards used to hang 13 of North American Indians up at a time and set them on fire, man. And take the women that was pregnant and cut their bellies open and take the kids, the babies, and grab them by their feet and bash their head against a stone, man. This is true history. This is Jeremiah chapter 30 and 16. It reads, therefore all that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be expoiled, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So they all gotta pay, man. This is Revelation chapter 13 and verse 9. And if you don't like it, so be it, man. But they gotta pay for what they did, man. If any man have an ear, let him hear. Meaning, if you can hear this, understand this. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with a sword must be killed with a sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So if you led into captivity, which I read in Exodus 21 and 16, it's saying, he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. And we are still found in the hands of the Job 9 and 24s until this day, man. As Jeremiah 15:33 reads. Let's read that. Jeremiah 15:33. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. You see? Judah and Israel were oppressed together, man. This is Isaiah 14. In verse 1, it reads, for the Lord Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land, and the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Who shall rule over their oppressors? The so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians shall rule over their oppressors, man. That's the words of the Lord, man. This is Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 and 6 reads, seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense tribulation to them that troubled you. And to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Yahweh shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. You see that? They got to pay, man. This is Colossians chapter 2 in verse I'm sorry. This is James 2 and 13. It reads, for he shall have judgment without mercy, that have showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So he shall have no mercy, man. Let's play this one more time. He shall have mercy without judgment, man. Make sure it's sharing. Let's play this again.
I'm going to jump in this tomorrow. And I'm telling you, folks, right there, how white folks got so rich. The untold story of American white supremacy. I mean, I just read about the Indian land grab. And I'm like, my gosh, man, good Lord. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth. No wonder we don't want to teach the truth.
Psalms 83 and 2. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. You see this? Who did this? The Lord created 18 nations on the earth. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians are the Hebrew Israelites, the 12 tribes of Israel, one nation. The other 17 nations that the Lord created, he made them to be against you. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they had consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. These are all the nations that came up against you, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, to cut us off. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites, of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre, Ashur also is joined with them. They have hope in the children of Lot. These nations came up against us, okay? The Job 9 and 24s, the so-called Chinese, the so-called Japanese, the so-called Arabs, the so-called Africans, the Hamites. They all hate us, man. They are against us. Chiefly, the Job 9 and 24s, man. They came against us to cut us off, man. And you still got Jake out here rooting for these people, man. And they hate your guts. This is Ezekiel 35 and 10. Because thou hast said these two Israelites, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. You see? And that's what they did, man. They possessed us, man. And we still are possessed by these devils, man. But you got their children who are complaining of ungodly fathers.
Because that means we've got to look people in the face and say, our forefathers were the worst people in the history of mankind. The things that they did. that manifest destiny, that kind of mentality has been atrocious. What we have done, what we have.
This is Jeremiah 16 and 19. O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity and things wherein there is no profit. And this is talking about 2/3 of Israel, and it's also talking about these heathens, man. You heard what he said. They're forefathers, man.
Done to the African Americans. The estimated number of wealth that came from slavery, from free labor, and that's what it was. And they estimate that the amount of money that came from slavery was around $24 trillion. You can't even grasp that much money. The average person has a hard time grasping what $1 billion is. $1 trillion. Holy shit. And a lot of people don't want to admit the truth, because a lot of people also are scared that what happens if we actually do have to maybe pay reparations. Understand that everything, that beautiful Capitol in Washington, D.C. was built by slave labor. The majority of the churches in this country were built by slave labor. Our forefathers were lazy. And if they were smart, which they were, but the problem was they were cunning and sad.
Hey, and they gotta pay, man. They gotta pay, man. They definitely gotta pay for it, man. And I did this on this channel because I know these devils be ready to strike my main channel, man. This is in his likeness, Yasharallah, Revelation 18 and 6. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. And they gotta pay, man. This is Psalms 75 and verse 6. It say, for promotion cometh neither from the east, nor from the west, nor from the south, but power is the judge. He putteth down one and setteth up another. And it is saying, Daniel, the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom. This is verse 8. For in the hand of the Lord Yahweh there is a cup, and the wine is red, it is full of mixture. And he poureth out the same, but the dregs thereof, all the wicked of the earth shall wring them out and drink them. So they got to drink this cup, man. The cup that we had to drink, they shall drink it. This is Jeremiah 49 and 12. It reads, for thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup, which are the Israelites, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians, have it surely drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it. So this cup, that so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians had to drink, the Job 9 and 24 has got to drink too, man. This is Isaiah chapter 51 and verse 22. It reads, verse 21, therefore hear not this, thou afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus saith thy Lord, the Lord Yahweh, and thy power that pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thy hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt no more drink it again. But I will put it into the hands of them that afflict thee, which have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. Did not the Job 9:24 tell Jake that in slavery, bow down that our soul may go over? And thou hast laid thy body as the ground and as the street to them that went over. Because they was over, they had control over us, man. The Lord gave them a wicked control over us, so-called Negro, Latino, Native Americans, West Indians, and Haitians. Now the precept, the brother precept in Revelation 18:6. This is Jeremiah 51 in verse, it say 8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. That's what it said in Revelation, man. Her sins, it say what? Let's read again. Reward her, Revelation 18:6. Reward her, even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled double. Let's read the next verse. Revelation 18 and verse 7. It say, no, Revelation 18 and 5. It say, let's read 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive none of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and power have remembered her iniquities. So they got to pay, man. They got a special cup they got to drink. This is and it's like the Yasharallah. Put up Jeremiah 6:23. They shall lay hold on bow and spear. They are cruel and have no mercy. Their voice roareth like the sea, and they ride upon horses set in array as men for war against thee, O daughter of Zion. Who? The Lord raised up these nations, man. This main nation, which is who? Esau, Edom, man. It's Job 9:24. Matter of fact, this is Habakkuk chapter 1, verse 6. And it reads, for lo, I raised up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation. And what's America? What's the definition of America? Bitter, man. Okay, for lo, I raised up the Chaldeans, that bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. They are terrible and dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity shall proceed of themselves. Their horses also are swifter than the leopard. Their horses also are swifter than the leopards, and are more fierce than the evening wolves. And their horsemen shall spread themselves, just like the Roman Empire, spread themselves too thin, and their horsemen shall spread themselves. Salaki, and it say, and their horsemen shall spread themselves, and their horsemen shall come from far. They shall fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. They shall come all for violence. Their faces shall sup up as the east wind, because they cannot have enough. And they shall gather the captivity as the sand, and they shall scoff at the kings, and the princes shall be a scorn unto them. They shall deride every stronghold, for they shall heap dust and take it. You see? Who is this? These are the Job 9:24s, man. These are the Job 9:24s, man. Say I don't make this too long. I just want to make a point on this. Lord, when it's edifying, that I give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Rekah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who teach well, who are the apostles and elders of all of Israel, whether can accept it or not. In the sincere salutation to all the occupant pushing this truth and believing this truth through the four ends of the earth, the entire world, working at the hope for the elect. And shalom to the Awad who are listening learning, that few sisters who are listening learning. Lord, what is edifying? Next time I say shalom, wa. Hey, the water for the precepts, man. The water for tuning in. The water. And Yahweh Shema Shah continue blessing your houses. Stay prayed up. Till the next time I say shalom.